Hey everybody, welcome back to their Godzilla Battle Line video, and I am still pretty under the weather, so if I cough in this video, I apologize. Not going to be a ton of gameplay in this. I really don't feel up to recording a ton of gameplay, but I really wanted to make this video because I've been, sick in bed for a few days. And the most common post on Reddit I have seen, and even in my Discord, is how do you beat 1,000-Year Dragon? Everyone's like, 1,000-Year Dragon's too strong. He's too busted. Just wait till the season's over and he's going to go away. He's not as scary as he seems. He is, for sure, in the top 10 best single target attackers in the game. I think the Discord ranked him at somewhere like 7, 6, or 5. I don't remember. He's like in the middle of like the best, like the top 10 single target attackers. But if you read his introduction, and you see right here, it can take attack up to 3 enemy units at once, and will deliver 3 successive blows when only 1 enemy unit is within range. Okay? The way he works is he does less damage when there are more characters in play. When all 3 beams are targeted onto one character, he's going to do all of his damage. All of it. He will hit them for all of it. So I think it's 468. Mine is rented level 17. It's 468, I think, per beam. So you multiply that times 3. If he's just targeting one unit, he's going to rip them apart. But the more units you have that are on his ass, the less damage he's going to do to you, the more chance you have of walking out of that fight. So I just put together a brief list of some characters that I have found personally extremely useful against this King Ghidorah. Not saying that also this Mothra needs to be a leader or anything. I just have him there because I just wanted to show all the characters. These are characters that I think you're going to have the most success fighting 1,000-Year Dragon Ghidorah with, okay? I'll start with Rainbow Mothra. He's not extremely powerful, but I like having that invincibility and that one extra hit that you can survive. That might be what makes or breaks the Ghidorah fight, the 1,000-Year Dragon Ghidorah fight. Getting that free extra hit, especially if there's only maybe one other target or 2 targets, for that King Ghidorah to hit, wasting one of its attacks is big, considering its attack speed is what is it, like 2.8 or something like that? We go to the stats here, 2.8 seconds, so that's pretty big. Naranga as well, if you go to his stats here, his attack speed is 2.7. I am pretty sure he will not permanently stun lock a 1,000-Year Dragon, but he is going to get them pretty close on that edge. I think it kind of depends on how you are playing them out. And I know Naranga isn't available right now, so if you don't have Naranga, he's kind of like a whatever recommendation. But for the players who do have Naranga or access to him in any capacity, there has been a lot of success online with stun locking the 1,000-Year Dragons with Naranga. I would try him out. If you don't have Naranga, maybe try Manila, just for the range. Maybe put Manila to the side and try to stun him that way. I haven't tried that. I don't think Manila's going to be the best option, but if you don't have Naranga, I guess you can kind of ignore that recommendation. Destroya, I love Destroya Perfect Form, because he is, I'm pretty sure, also in the top 10 single target damage dealers. But most importantly, what I'm looking for is when he dies and he becomes the larvas. Each of these larvas, whether there's 5, 6 of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them, the 1,000-Year Dragon Ghidorah can target 3 of them, not all of them. And then it disperses that damage out. So just the one Destroya putting down a ton of heat just in terms of single target damage against that King Ghidorah, then dying and then getting resurrected as the group of units that'll disperse that damage out and hit anti-air. Very strong. Now, granted, the swarm goes down if your opponent has any other AoEs, so you just have to be on top of that. But regardless if they do or don't have other AoEs, having these bonus units is going to help disperse that damage from the 1,000-Year Dragon. It's going to be a little bit easier on your guys. Shinden as well. Shinden, now we're getting into characters that are just like overall pretty regularly used, but because they're so regularly used, this is going to help you out. Shinden, pretty reliable unit in the meta for the last few months. Shinden will, no, excuse me, I'm trying not to like cough a ton. Shinden's not only going to distract one of the Ghidorah heads for you, but it's 2 cost, it's cheap, it's kind of fast, it has 2 hits of invulnerability, and it shoots at the flyers, okay? King Ghidorah is a flyer, it has 2 hits of invulnerability. This is for 2 energy, 2 free hits, and a little bit of damage, and it's going to help you disperse King Ghidorah's damage. So maybe if you had Destroya, Perfect Form, and Shinden, then the enemy King Ghidorah is separating its damage into 2 characters, one of which is going to get 2 free hits, the other one would become 5 units upon death. So, dispersing the damage, that's the goal with the Shinden. Not entirely to distract the King Ghidorah, because you're not going to distract that King Ghidorah most of the time, especially in a big team fight, because the other heads are going to fire at other characters. But distracting one of the heads is good because you lower that damage by 1/3 when one of the heads is distracted by the Shinden, so that's really good. Mothra, 4 cost. I mean, I don't really have to explain to you guys how good Mothra is. We've had him now in the game for a little bit over a month and a half. So good. Phenomenal. That defense boost is really good. I know the new Bylante with the acid. The acid is ignoring the Mothra, but I'm not very concerned about the new Bylante because of the nerf that she had gotten a week or 2 ago. 1,000-Year Dragon's probably going to see play well after this season ends, especially when people get levels on him. Giving the defense up every few seconds to your allies is phenomenal. If you're dispersing the Ghidorah damage between 3 characters, so what I like to do is I'll do like Shinden, Mothra, and Mothra, because Mothra is 4, Mothra is 3, and that leaves you with 3 more energy to use if you saved up to 10. So Shinden is 2. You can use all 3, send them out after the King Ghidorah. The Mothra will give the Mothra and the Shinden, or the Mothra Imago, I should say, and the Shinden the defense up, and it'll disperse the damage, decreasing even further the amount of damage your characters are taking. Mothra is phenomenal. I know a lot of people did not invest in him after his season ended. I do not know why. He is a really, really good unit. So I am a big fan of Mothra. I think he's really good in the counter, especially if you have a lot of other characters on the field. He is not going to 1v1 a 1,000-Year Dragon. None of these characters really are, unless the levels on like Destroyer are like ridiculous. But in a big cluster, he is going to help mitigate that damage even further. I mean, I guess you could technically use the Mecha Godzilla 74 ability to do the same thing, but Mothra's, like, the rate that he puts that defense up is just a little bit more reliable. Mothra Imago, like I just said, I don't really think I have to go into a ton of detail with Mothra Imago. Phenomenal unit, 3 cost, a ton of damage, cheap to deploy. So like I said, I like to deploy her and the Shinden and the Mothra at the same time, and they'll rinse through a 1,000-Year Dragon. The AoE is also nice. If the enemy has other characters in a big team fight, that AoE is probably going to hit them too. So I like her a lot. She's really good, quick damage. I mean, her attack speed is 2 seconds, so she's going to get out of a few attacks. She's going to get out 1 attack for sure before 1,000-Year Dragon hits. She's going to get a second one out right after 1,000-Year hits. So just a phenomenal unit overall. Speaking of overwhelming the 1,000-Year Dragon, here's some other characters for you. The Fuku Space Godzilla. I was going to fumble that name. Shooting the crystals, having the crystals distract 1,000-Year, that's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. Now, the crystals will distract them, and then after they're destroyed, if that King Ghidorah is just focusing on the Fukuoka, Fukuoka is going to get lit up. But if it survives the hit and then the crystals come out again, the King Ghidorah is going to get distracted by those crystals. So just having the crystals out is a deterrent enough. It's not a, foolproof failsafe, but it is going to help you, especially if your Fukuoka is way far behind. You have units maybe in the midfield, and those crystals come up, and they help distract the King Ghidorah and maybe help your characters live longer. That's phenomenal. The main goal of the Fukuoka here is the crystals to just try to provide something on the field to mitigate the damage. Likewise, the classic Space Godzilla, the crystals that it spawns on the ground, those also could be useful. I just find the Fukuoka more useful because of the nature of these crystals. They fly forwards, they explode, they're not stationary. These can move up with your push while Space Godzilla is behind. This Space Godzilla does not have to be in the push. And then Gaus. Gaus is kind of a sleeper agent after getting the buff, or after getting its buffs this season, where, you know, Gaus is 2, they die. Gaus becomes 3, they die. They become 4, they die. They become 5. Once they get to the second stage, where it's the 3 of them, they're already mitigating that King Ghidorah's damage. Once there's 5 of them, the King Ghidorah is probably targeting one of the big ones, 2 of the small ones, which leaves you with a whole big one and a whole small one to do damage to King Ghidorah. And their stats are not like a joke either. Mine are level 7. But I've seen some like relatively high power Gaus this season rinse through the 1000-Year Dragons. Their attack speed is also 0.2 seconds faster, so you also have to consider that as well. But for 3 cost, this swarm... Oh, I exited up. For 3 cost for this swarm, you put that with the Mothra with the defense up, or you give them the Rainbow Mothra invincibility, put them with the regular Mothra, you drop a -1 in the water and then throw these guys up. It doesn't matter. For 3 cost, you are deploying enough units with the Gaus to just completely mitigate the 1000-Year Dragon's damage. You just gotta jump them. That's the key, you guys. Like, that is the key to beating 1000-Year Dragon, is you have to just jump him. He's really bad when he has to fight multiple targets at the same time, because his damage becomes a third of what it is. If you let him get into 1v1 encounters with your units, you are going to most likely lose those encounters. You gotta jump him. You gotta hit him with like low costing characters that hit hard, or just a ton of units, because he's going to run through them. You gotta play smarter. You don't gotta play harder, okay? The 1000-Year Dragon is really good, and he's rentable this season. So instead of just giving up, when you see one of them, I see a lot of people online complaining about him, okay? Jump his ass. Get on him, okay? Because if you do not jump him, he is going to clap your cheeks so hard, you're not going to be able to sit down right for a week. You gotta get on him. I have been doing it with low-cost characters, Shinden, Gaus, Mothra, Mothra. You can do it with Naranga, Rainbow Mothra for the invulnerability, Fukuoka for the shields. If you just, you know, even if you have the Kamacuras on your team, and you just throw the Kamacuras out, and then you drop, like, you know, Mega Gearus and Super X for whatever reason. But, like, even the Kamacuras for 2, if that 1000-Year Dragon is coming your way and you just drop them out, it's going to get distracted on the Kamacuras. And my 1000-Year Dragon at level 17 was, what, 400 damage? These Kamacuras are 267, so they'll die to the 1000-Year in one individual hit, but it's still dispersing damage, distracting him. You gotta get on him and make sure that he's focused on 3 characters. Or 2 is fine. 3 is what you want, because he's still going to do a reasonable amount of damage if he's got 2/3 of those beams on you. But 1/3 of the beam damage, that's where he loses. He loses in team fights. He is a 1v1 menace, but he is going to fumble in a team fight. So these are some of the characters I use. This is by no means a deck that you should be running. I mean, maybe if you have the levels on, it's probably actually really good, but these are just some of the characters, some of the counters that I've seen online on how to handle 1000-Year Dragon, so I thought I would just impart some of that wisdom on to you guys. So that's what I got for you today. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.